counterfeits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Trying to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Tuesday hanging with the fellas. Welcome to a little sports nonsense and whiskey. Pinky, cheers, my dude. How you doing?
Oh, my man. Still living on the parade, my man. What a day.
Love that. Can't be mad about that. Not gonna lie, those hats anger me because they made the O look like an A. Like they don't know what they're doing. It's like the dumbest font you could have possibly picked. And I know the A and the O are different in the hat. Like they obviously look different, but that's not cursive. Like who taught them what cursive was? That's dumb.
So I don't know why they just didn't. I don't think you need to have a line from the I to the O. If they leave that alone, I think you're okay. But
well, it's the bottom of the O, the way you come off on the bottom. A cursive O is supposed to come off at the top, a little swoop curly at the top, and then into the next letter. Like whoever wrote that never learned cursive and just thought, this looks good.
it's better than the Avs hats from last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
those
it's
Avs
unfortunate.
Hats were the most boring championship hats I've ever seen. They were so bad.
Not great, unfortunately. So, but I'm not going to complain that much due to the fact that it's a championship for the Nuggets.
You want a little story time?
Yeah. Pinky story. Oh, everybody, sit back and relax. We haven't had a Pinky story time in a minute. These are good.
So
pay attention.
Obviously, plan to go to the parade. My boss was super cool. She was like, "Yeah, I expect you'll be there. I need a full report and have fun." I was like, "Awesome." So Andy and I planned to go. He took he had his 2 smallest kids. I took Harmony, and I took Pinky Jr. with us. So we had a full ride. There's 6 of us. Packed up the snacks, packed up the water, packed up the alcohol. Man, we were ready to rock and roll. Get up to Denver. We left Andy's place at about 7. Got up to Denver about 8, and took the tram up. Tram got pretty busy. It was pretty packed.
Yeah.
So good that we got there when we did, because it got pretty packed. And we're riding along. And last year we went to the Avs parade with Billy, and Billy was like the guy. He knew the tram. He knew like the stops. Like he knew what he was doing. Andy and I were just following him.
Right, along for the ride. Okay.
Andy and I are like, which stop do we get off on? We can't remember the name of it. we finally got to one. We were like, well, this stop looks good, but nobody else is getting off. So let's go to the next one. And the next one is Union Station.
Right where the parade was starting.
Yeah. So mistakes were made.
Fair.
So we passed by, which was kind of cool because we got to see all the fire trucks. We got to see all the players. We saw Joker walking by with his girl. They were all
his wife,
all the players were trying to get ready. His little girl.
Oh, cool.
His wife was probably right next to him, but
probably. You just couldn't see her. Yeah.
Big 7-foot guy with a little blonde girl on his shoulders. I was like, oh, okay, that's Joker. And
I know. How cool is it going to be for her growing up when he just, puts her on his shoulders? She gets to see, she'll never miss anything.
Never. So we get to Union Station. We get off. Everybody else gets off. And we're using Google. And the idea is we want to get down to the park to set up at the very end of the parade route. So the parade ends at us, and then we can go over to where the stage is. To get as close as we can try to get.
Sure.
Yeah. You can't do that from Union Station. It's not possible. We walked in like a full circle around Union Station based on Google's directions, which Google obviously doesn't know the roads are closed. And we walked over a mile. I want to say it was almost over a mile just in that circle. And then we finally got back to Union Station and we're just like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do we do? So Andy finds these, like, I don't know, cops, security guards. They were just out on the street. He goes, "It's them." And they're like, oh, yeah, man, there's like, if you just walk down this street and go down here by the river, there's a bike path. And you can literally walk right up the bike path. It'll take you under everything.
That's true.
And we're like, okay. Junior by this time is super pissed because he's got to pee the whole time. It's getting warm, and we've already walked over a mile. So we get on this bike trail. Of course, it's just covered in goose poop everywhere. So we're literally hopping along, trying to make sure not to step in any goose poop. Thankfully, the little kids were great. They didn't, they were just talking and having a good time, so they didn't pay attention. Literally, by the time we got to where we wanted to be, we made good timing because we literally got there right when the parade got to us because it had already started.
Yeah.
And we had walked 2.8 miles.
Oh man, dude.
So as soon as we got to our spot, it was like the fire trucks are right there. I'm taking pictures. Didn't have any time to relax and have a drink or two. Didn't have it was like straight on, like, oh, it's right here. Let's go. So got some pics, got some good stuff. Christian Braun was acting a fool. He was having a good old time. He had the WWF belt with him.
Yeah.
That they gave the Nuggets, which is cool. I don't think they've given any other team a
I can't remember that ever happening. So I don't know what the connection there is. I would love to find out more about that.
So I was like, I dig it. He had no shirt on, just taking the belt around. Joker and Jamal were on the same. They were on the very last one. And it was crazy. I don't know. Something had to have happened. They got off.
Have you not heard this story?
Huh?
So a bunch of fans ran in front of their fire truck and stopped it in the parade. Well, we're trying to stop it in the parade, and the fire truck kept moving. A police officer was escorting people out of the way, and somehow he fell, and he got trapped under that fire truck.
Oh, man.
So they had to pull everybody off that fire truck. They put them in a SWAT vehicle so that they could go finish the parade. And emergency personnel had to attend to that police officer who got sent to the emergency room right away in critical condition. Turned out he was okay. I mean, long term, he'll be okay. But yeah, a bunch of dumbass fans tried to stop the fire truck.
So, because all the fire trucks had gone by and we hadn't seen Joker, the trophy, or Jamal. And I'm like, it can't be over. Like, we haven't seen it. 10 or 15 minutes went by before that fire truck finally got to us. It was crazy. It was crazy. Of course, right after the fire trucks and that part of the parade, sun comes out of the clouds and it's just beating down on us.
Yeah.
And once we get into the massive humanity, like for the ass parade, we got about halfway. For this one, I couldn't even see the stage. Like, we were far enough back that I was in front of a TV screen. That was it. We couldn't even see the screen or stage, how far back we were. So, great time. By the time we got back to where we were, we'd walked 4.5 miles overall for the day. It was a day. And the one thing I really wanted to bring up, has anybody else so it's like every championship, there's like the one guy, like Mahomes got really hammered in KC when it was super cold. Brady got super smashed on tequila.
Tossing the trophy around.
Michael Malone is that dude, man.
Mm.
Michael Malone is that dude. He was living it up. I mean, I can't fault Biggie for all of that statement, but
he's wrong. He's awfully wrong, but we're not going to go down that road tonight. Tonight's not the night for that conversation.
Well, let's just say a lot of people don't enjoy the physicality in basketball.
You mean the lack thereof?
The lack thereof of it now. But then a lot of people like that free-flowing buckets back and forth offense. Like, it's really weird. I like defense. I do. And I would enjoy it a little bit more if there was more physicality, but that's just not how.
It's funny to me because the same people that are saying that are usually huge football fans, and football's done the same thing. They've,
right,
for lack of a better word, made it, less physical and basically tried to get rid of defense. So it's just different. If you want to be the old man, get off my lawn and talk about the 90s and the 80s of basketball, go right ahead. But there is more skill in today's NBA than there ever has been in the history of the NBA. Period. That's just a fact. Guys like a Bill Laimbeer would never be able to survive in today's NBA. They would never be on a roster, because all they were is a bully. They didn't have any basketball talent. So, there's going to be some of that same thing in football. So I'm not going to be that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. It's the evolution of the game. And every game's evolved except for baseball. And we're not going down the baseball road tonight for damn sure. So,
I agree with you, Biggie. I'm with you, buddy. You put
not 80, but he'd be close to he'd average close to 40 a game for sure.
I think he'd average 45 because he had one season he averaged 37 in a season, and back then I think he could average 45, especially with the use of the 3-ball too. So
I wouldn't put it past him. Anybody saying Jordan wouldn't average close to that is foolish. He was just so good and so efficient. And people are like, well, he didn't shoot the 3. Because it wasn't part of the game back then. But he could shoot the 3. He nailed 6 against Portland and gave us the famous shrug. So don't tell me Jordan couldn't shoot the 3. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. So, Biggie, the reason I say he wouldn't go for more than 40 is because the way the game is played now, the ball would move a little bit more. Because they would just double him more, is what it would really come down to. Back in the day, he didn't double as much because of, defensive violations, defensive 3 seconds. Zone was illegal back then. So double teams weren't as prevalent back in the day as they are now. So teams would trap and they double him a lot more, and they force his teammates to go out and make the plays. So that's why I don't think he'd go for much more than 40. But even talking about 40 averaging is absurd. That's ridiculous. So, yeah.
Bob, are
What's our
you
record against
asking
the
about the
Broncos?
Broncos? Who are you asking about the record? Just curious there.
While we're waiting on that response, here's a rundown, ladies and gentlemen. We got some quick hits, some golf, some basketball. What else did I took a couple notes for myself. Golf, basketball, some soccer. I know most people don't care. I do. So you can listen to me or you can leave and come back. That's completely up to you. But I do talk about my soccer. And then we've got a championship discussion in 2 parts. And we're going to talk about the 5 major sports in America and possible repeats. And then we're going to talk about our favorite Colorado championships. Just because Nuggets just won their first one, and that kind of brings some thoughts to mind. So, with that being said, I'll start with soccer. We'll get it out of the way. Quick hit. The USMNT, for those that don't know, United States men's national team, just won a tournament. I'm not going to give you names because you don't care. But they just won a tournament over the weekend. Played Mexico in the semis. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't like soccer, at least watch a U.S.-Mexico game because they are brutal and vicious, high intensity. Players do not like each other. It's a hell of a rivalry. It's one of the best rivalries in all of sports right now, to be perfectly honest with you. And America's owning it, which is what makes it even better. Beat Mexico in the semis, played Canada in the finals, kind of walked away with that one. Down a couple players, a couple starters because of red cards from the Mexico game. It was a big win for the USMNT. They've got some momentum going into the CONCACAF Gold Cup that's coming up here starting Saturday. I'll be tuning in. Most people may not, but if you want to watch some good soccer, the CONCACAF Gold Cup is worth watching. The USMNT youth movement right now, there's a lot of people calling it the golden age of American soccer right now. For it to be the golden age of American soccer, they're going to have to get to at least the semis of the World Cup in 2026, or it will be a complete waste and failure. But they got 4 years to make that happen. And this youth movement is crazy good. So it's a lot of fun to watch right now. But the other big news, not just that they won the trophy, they're bringing back Greg Berhalter. So his contract expired after the World Cup last year, Pinky. Okay? Contract expired. Done. He's out. It took them a little over 6 months to find a replacement, only to bring him back because of basically 2 reasons, in my opinion. One, nobody else wanted to touch the job with a 10-foot pole because of the leadership in place within the American Soccer Federation. And 2, because the American Soccer Federation doesn't want to pay anybody for some reason. I've heard talks that they don't want to pay a men's coach a lot because then they're going to have to up the women's coach's salary by a bunch. That's just all excuses. Berhalter made a lot of mistakes going into the World Cup and at the World Cup that I believe cost the Americans at least a game. His roster, his substitutions, his scheme, none of it was very good. I won't say it was absolute trash, but it's definitely not on a level Four Roses is delicious. Definitely not on a level of international upper echelon. So he either better have done some serious self-educating and reflection over the last 6 months, or 2026 is not going to be any good. So soccer fans understand where I'm coming from. Greg Berhalter is not who everybody wanted to see. A lot of players did talk well of him coming back, so maybe that's a good sign. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. But Gold Cup starts this weekend. U.S. plays Saturday at like 6:30 Mountain, I think. So I'm stoked. Next up, the U.S. Open golf tournament ended over the weekend. It did not go well as far as players and fans are concerned. The USGA, for some reason, allowed the LA Country Club to limit the amount of patrons that were allowed to come through the turnstiles, sold a majority of the general admission tickets to members, and the atmosphere was trash, to be very blunt with it. Players were not happy, fans were not happy. This is just a bad atmosphere. A lot of players spoke not too kindly of the course itself, just said it wasn't very fun. So it's unfortunate, but Colorado's own Wyndham Clark went on to win. Really cool story. This is the first cut he's ever made in a major championship, Pinky. First cut he's ever made. This is the first weekend he's ever played at a major championship, and he goes on to win it. So congratulations to Wyndham Clark. I thought it was a really cool story. Highly recommend going and reading up on it if you're a golf fan at all and you don't really know it. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail now because I know a lot of people don't care but me. But really cool story from Wyndham Clark. So congratulations to him. Hope this is, the start of him being able to win a little bit more on the PGA. He's had a really good season so far. He's won the first, and I can't remember the years or the amount of tournaments. But so this is just going to be a number I'm throwing out there just kind of give you perspective. Let's say his first 100 tournament starts. He made roughly $3 million, okay? In his last, 6 tournaments, he's won something like $13 million. So the dude is playing really well this season, end of last season. So it'll be interesting to see if he's kind of part of this youth movement of golf and if he can continue to compete with the big boys.
I'm just glad the guys made some money.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations, Colorado's own Wyndham Clark.
State of champions.
Yeah, damn right, state of champions. Colorado, baby. Fly over this state all you want. All we do is win. Now, on to a little basketball news. Pinky, the Phoenix Suns owner just put himself in the same conversation as the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't know about you, but when I hear me being compared to the Brooklyn Nets, I would feel really bad about myself and the moves I made. It's not a good look. Matt Ishbia decided it was worthwhile going all in on Bradley Beal and forming a new big three within the NBA with Durant and Booker. Now, I will give Phoenix credit. They didn't have to give up anything to get Bradley Beal. Nothing. They traded Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and a bunch of seconds and some pick swaps. Long term, they didn't give up anything. I don't care what anybody says. They didn't give up anything. However, here's the problem. You have 3 guys that basically play the exact same style of basketball who are all ball dominant, and you made your team even more thin than it was already. You've got DeAndre Ayton on the team, so between those 4 players, you're basically hitting 163 on the salary cap.
I think they only have 5 players signed on the roster at this moment.
They do. Only 5 signed at the moment. Between 4 dudes, they're at 163. So as soon as they fill out the rest of their roster, they're going to be in the second tier of the luxury tax. So this isn't sustainable long term. This is basically a 1 or 2 year play, and then they're screwed.
I heard JJ Redick talk about this, and I like JJ a lot. And JJ put it in perspective. After the Suns traded for KD, they were in a really lose-lose situation. They got rid of all their first-round picks, which, again, probably weren't going to be great to begin with because, with Booker and KD, they should be in the back half of the draft, so they're not going to be great picks anyways.
Right.
They were already in the luxury tax with Ayton, Booker, and KD. So they were, again, they're going to be in there with adding Beal as well. But I feel like this was that 2-year play of we've got to do something to try to beat the Nuggets. That's what it is. It's to try to beat the Nuggets.
Yep.
Now, what this gives you a little bit of luxury, and JJ brought this up, how often does KD get hurt right now? It's almost every year.
50-50.
So when
Flip a
KD's
coin.
hurt, you still got Booker and Beal. At least they
Yeah,
can
but-
try to carry the team.
The problem is Beal's a 50-50 coin flip as well
Right.
over the last 2 to 3 years. So if you've got 2 out of your 3 that are 50-50 on whether or not they're going to play, it's just not a sustainable way to win a championship. So we'll see what happens. Big E, I'll wrap back here. Every guy you mentioned, Kobe, Clyde, Iverson, yeah, they'd all be great in today's game. But here's what drives me nuts about people when they talk about basketball. And frankly, this is my opinion in sports in general. If you're great, if you're a star, you would have been a star in any era. Any era. So any of today's stars would have been great back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Any of the 70s, 80s, and 90s stars would be great in today's game. It goes both ways. If you are great, you're going to be great no matter what. You find a way. That's why you're great. So you adapt, you play, and you keep balling. This idea that today's guys couldn't go back and play, and yesteryear's guys could come up and play, I think it's a false narrative, and it's a weak talking point, in my opinion.
I think you could probably make certain cases. Some guys today maybe would not be able to handle the way the NBA was previously. They would have to adapt. Doesn't mean they couldn't adapt, but they would have to adapt.
I mean, let's think about it. To hit, like, Steph Curry's one that gets thrown out there a lot. He wouldn't have been able to play back then. He wouldn't have been able to get his shot off. They would have been all over him. The dude runs like 10 miles a game, right? Like he's always moving.
Right.
The dudes back in the 70s and 80s specifically were booze hounds and coke addicts. They weren't in the gym training 24/7. You think they're going to be able to run with Curry for 48 minutes? Hell no. There's no chance they'd be able to keep up with him for a full game. Zero chance of that happening. Curry's also got one of the best handles that the NBA's ever seen. So they're not going to be able to stay in front of him. That's just an example. Kevin Durant, people are like, he'd get pushed around all over the place. Who's going to stop him from shooting? Those dudes weren't as athletic as they are now. Kevin Durant's 7 feet with like a 7'8" wingspan. He's going to get his shot off no matter what he wants to do. So I just think, again, if you're great, you would have been great in any era. I mean, damn, think about Wilt Chamberlain playing in today's game when there's no true centers, as people like to say. Now, Jokic, Embiid, they're bringing that back a little bit. But, with as athletic as Wilt Chamberlain was, God, he would have been amazing to watch in today's game. Shaq could go either way. Go back to bully ball, come up to running down the court. There's video of Shaq running the fast break. You going to get in his way? Hell no. You're not taking a charge on Shaq. That's like life-threatening. That's career-ending kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear this nonsense. And guys, we're well-versed on nonsense, right? Like, that's what we do. You're good, period. Any era. That's why I don't talk about the GOAT debate as much as I do like who's in my top 10 kind of thing. And when I usually say it, I usually say in any order. Now I do think Jordan's the greatest player of all time. So if you want to make me pick a GOAT, I would say it's Jordan. But I think there's a handful of guys that are in that conversation, and they all have legitimate claims to that throne, if you will. So I don't talk about as much as the greatest of all time. I try to talk about it more as who do I think were the 10 best to ever play the game kind of thing. Or I talk about eras is more how I like to have that conversation.
Since you brought up Wilt Chamberlain, did you see that one of his rookie jerseys went for like $1.97 million?
I did see that. His Philly rookie jersey, yeah. That is wild, dude.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
A lot of rich people that don't know what to do with their money. More power to them.
So I will say, and I know Biggie mentioned, not a big basketball fan. He doesn't care about the Nuggets, which is fine. You don't have to like the Nuggets. The offseason is going to be, what do teams do to compete with the Nuggets? And when's the last time we've ever been able to say that, right?
Never.
Because the Lakers are going to make some moves. The Suns already made a move. You've got Oklahoma City. They're on the come up. You've got the Timberwolves. I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't know if they'll have any room to do anything.
By all accounts, they're keeping Cat, Gobert, and Anthony Edwards together. So fail. Fail. You got Gobert on the team, still fail.
Right. He just doesn't provide as much as he needs. So it's just fun to say that teams are going to be out there trying to figure out, what do we do to compete with the Nuggets? And that's fun. That's interesting to me. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what the Lakers do. There's so many people that are all about the Lakers, all about LeBron. I will say, Lakers fans, you got lucky this year that Anthony Davis played most of the season. Like, when does that happen?
Well, you can't count on that. Can't count on that.
As soon as he goes down, that team is garbage. So, I
love that LeBron and the Lakers fans are getting so mad at Malone joking about retiring and the whole Lakers daddy thing now, and that just cracks me up. And they're like, the Nuggets are still talking about it. They're so butthurt, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, we're saying it in jest. Like, it's fun. We're the champs. We can talk some smack now finally and say things like that. You're the ones that it's obviously getting under the skin of because you keep responding to it.
Let's be honest. I don't think Michael Malone says any of that stuff if the national media literally wasn't like, they didn't talk about the Nuggets during that series. It was about the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers were down 1-0. Oh, they made adjustments. They're going to figure them out.
Rui Hachimura, they figured something out at the end of game 1 to stop Jokic.
Right. And then it was after game 2, it was like, well, they haven't won in LA yet. We'll see how it works in LA. After game 3, well, no, not many teams come back down 3-0, but the Lakers can do it. Like, it wasn't about the Nuggets, except for if you were like Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, like, he planted that flag, and he was right there throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah, because he was ready to play golf in Denver with Peyton and Peyton. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason. It's just getting started. Free agency starts officially, I think it's July 7th.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
There's the legal tampering period from like the 3rd through the 6th or something like that, and then it officially starts on the 7th. I remember, God, what is it? 6 years ago now? 7 years ago now? 7 years ago now. Durant announced that he was signing with Golden State in free agency on the 4th of July. I remember being at the 4th of July parade, 10 o'clock in the morning, phone starts blowing up, pull it out of my pocket to find out Kevin Durant's going Golden State. So we got about another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of basketball where we'll still be talking about some stuff, and then it'll be done until October.
So we got the NBA draft Thursday.
Yes, we do.
Wemby going to the Spurs. Sounds like Scoot's going to Charlotte. And Brandon Miller should then go to Portland, maybe.
I will be surprised at two things. I will be surprised if Zion gets moved. I know a lot of people are talking like it's imminent and he's going to get traded. I don't think he will. And I will be surprised if Dame Lillard gets moved. I don't think Dame Lillard's going anywhere either. Now, that's not to say they won't both move at some point during the season, but I don't see it happening before the season starts for either one of those guys. I can see Portland moving the 3rd overall pick to bring in a vet for Dame Lillard, but if they don't do that, It's more likely than not that Dame will get moved sometime during the season would be my guess.
It's time to rip that Band-Aid off. It's time.
I don't think it's Portland as much as it's Dame. He keeps talking about wanting to stay there, and he's loyal and more power to him. Winning a championship in Portland would mean one in Portland would mean a lot more than 3 somewhere else.
It's a big clock, Biggie. It's a big clock. I get that for Dame, but Portland's not going to build a winner in the next 2 years, 3 years when Dame's in his prime.
Maybe it depends on what they're going to do with that 3rd overall pick. Now, I've heard Dame talking behind the scenes that they should move that pick and some other assets to bring Zion to Portland. I still don't think New Orleans moves Zion.
Why do you want an overweight guy who can't stay on the court?
Because when he's on the court, he's top 10 player in the league, maybe even top 5. You got to remember, New Orleans last season before he went down was number 2 in the West.
He didn't play at all last season.
Yes, he did. He played the first 35 games.
He didn't play last season. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, he did.
I'm going to fact check.
You check right now. I'm telling you. He played, and when he was in, New Orleans was 2nd in the West behind Denver. They were ahead of Memphis. And then he went out, and they started slipping. I think it was 35 games, maybe 24 to 35. Somewhere in there is what I'm going with right now.
He played 29.
29.
Well, it wasn't impactful to me because I don't remember it at all. So
most people don't, but what he was doing when he was on the court was absurd. So that's why I don't see him getting moved, because his talent level is so extreme. So extreme. But let's digress from basketball a little bit. There'll be plenty to talk about next Tuesday after the draft. I'm sure we're going to see some big news. It wouldn't surprise me if Dame or Zion is moved during the draft. I just don't think it's going to happen right now. But it wouldn't surprise me if it does. So we'll wait and see what happens with the draft on Thursday.
Before New Orleans has got to commit a super max to him, I'd unload him.
They've already committed a super max with him for what he was eligible for. He's got 4 years on his deal right now, Pinky. That's part of the allure of trading for him, is you have him under contract for the next 4 years. That's kind of the beauty of it right now. And his contract's got a bunch of injury outs in it. So if he doesn't play a certain number of games, if he's injured at a certain period of time, this and that, he loses a bunch of money. So the contract was set up very specifically to protect the team from these situations. So we'll see what happens. But again, we'll digress from basketball a little bit. Big E, we're going to move on. We'll talk more next Tuesday after the draft.
Poor Biggie wants
and we'll see what happens.
Man after my own heart.
Honestly, you want to ask one basketball question real quick? I'll give you a simple answer, Big E. Nobody. You run it back with the exact same team you have right now. Everybody's got a year more experience. Everybody's got that taste for the championship. Everybody knows their role just a little bit more. I run it back exactly as it is now. The only thing I would do, and I was talking with my brother about this earlier, there's a guy that is going to be in this draft who was a National Player of the Year 2 years ago. Tshiebwe, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tshiebwe out of Kentucky. He's the center out of Kentucky. There's a projection of him going late 2nd round or undrafted. But he plays great defense. He's huge on the boards. And he would be, I think, a steal to stash on the bench behind Jokic, let him develop a little more, let him learn. And he's a big body with a lot of potential that the Nuggets could steal in the draft and pair with Jokic, Gordon, and some of those guys. I think it would be a steal.
I mean, right now they only have a 2nd-round pick, so he'd have
to fall. And there's talk that they're trying to move up back into the 1st with an eye on somebody specific. It hasn't been mentioned who, but they've got an eye on somebody specific that they're trying to move back into the 1st round to go grab. So we'll see what happens. But I would love to see him go grab that center out of Kentucky. and put him on the bench and let him develop and learn, just like they did Jokic years ago. So,
Yeah.
but that's how I would move. I honestly don't think they need to go after anybody in free agency this year.
I mean, as long as they get Bruce Brown to come back, they're 6. Wait. I mean, I think Jeff Green's coming back. So their 8 guys are already set. You got your 5 starters. You got Jeff Green. You got Christian Brown. And you got Bruce Brown. If you got those guys, like, you're not going to get another big free agent.
Well, and you got a couple other guys who saw some minutes late in the season who are going to develop, I think, really well as well. Watson being one of them.
Peyton Watson's going to be the defender, and he actually had a growth spurt.
I know, which is absurd. Absurd.
He's close to 7 foot now.
So they've got what they need. I'm not concerned there. I need them to bring the team back, and it sounds like everybody's on the same page. Brown might need a little bit of a pay bump. Just because his player option was like $6 million. I would have declined that too after the season I just had in the playoff run. So what'll be interesting to see is if Kroenke's willing to go into the luxury tax. If he's finally willing to truly dip into the luxury tax to keep the team together to run it back. That's what we'll be keeping an eye on.
I think, again, he's not getting TV money at the moment, but if merchandise sales will be up, ticket sales will be up, the hype around the team is there, I don't see why he, couldn't spend a little bit on the luxury tax. Right? It's time right now. Like, I think kind of like in baseball, you got to kind of ebb and flow. Yeah, we're going to spend a couple years, we'll pay for that tax, and then a couple years we're not going to do that, right? Kind of ebb and flow.
Absolutely. Now, Biggie, as far as this goes, we talk Broncos when it's worth talking Broncos. We don't force talk Broncos just because we live in Colorado. If you want that, there are a lot of shows on this network that do a great job of talking Broncos 24/7 when there's, nothing to truly talk about. So by all means, support everybody else on the network because we think they do a great job with the content that they do have. We just enjoy talking about more than just the Broncos. So there's a lot of other conversations to be had.
Like I am so interested in this Stephon Diggs stuff that's going on right now.
Ray, yes. Joker had it at the parade. So it was not ever lost. My understanding now is that he just didn't know where it ended up for a short period of time. But he did find it. It was at the parade with him. All is well. He's got his MVP trophy. The Stephon Diggs is interesting, Pinky.
I just don't know why they had to have a conversation. They sent him home from a mini camp and then let him come back the next day. Why wasn't his gripes and complaints handled after the playoff game? Like, why are we like 5 months later still having to deal with this stuff?
It's not even that. As far as I'm concerned, like, I was a big Stephon Diggs fan. This makes me dislike him a little bit for the simple fact that football, more than anything, is a coach's game. It is a true chess match where you get to move the pieces around the way you see fit. Last time I checked, there's not a whole lot of wide receivers that get to have a say in the play calling. The dude already got like 100 balls, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Like, how much more does he need to be involved in what's happening when he's already the number one option and he's the first one that Josh Allen is looking for?
I mean, I'll give him a little bit of credit. Whatever game plan they played against the Bengals was dog shit.
Yeah.
Because obviously they sucked. So,
but you've heard what happened right before that game, right?
No.
So the rumor is Josh Allen found out that he got his side piece pregnant and his longtime high school girlfriend dumped his ass, and that all happened like the day before that game. That's the rumor I've heard. So that would explain why Josh Allen didn't quite look himself in that game. And if your quarterback doesn't quite look himself, it could very well easily make the play calling look like trash. You know what I mean? Whether it was a good game plan or not, if your quarterback's not there, you're going to look bad, period. Broncos fans should know that almost better than anybody.
That's a big oops. Big oops.
Yeah, big oops. So I when it comes to personal matters like that, it's hard to verify if it's true or not. But it is a rumor that I had seen floating multiple sources from. So if it's true, it explains a lot.
I'm not a huge fan of Stephon Diggs. I do think he's a good wide receiver. I think you could argue he's top 10 maybe. But
look, honestly, if I'm Buffalo, I'm telling Stephon Diggs he needs to take a little less in the offensive game plan, and we need more from Dawson Knox, Gabe Davis, our running game, if we truly want to be competitive for the Super Bowl. We can't just be Stephon Diggs.
Right. And they already locked him up. His contract is his salary cap hit right now would be like $45 million to get rid of him. So,
and I heard the Broncos are like, yeah, we're gonna put together a package of Cortland Sutton in a third. And if I'm Buffalo, I'd say no, thank you. Like,
I mean, they would. So they're gonna say no, thank you, because they still have to eat that $45 million. Like trading Stephon Diggs is not an option. It's just
I hate. Like, I love the way the NFL does their salary cap and things of that nature to keep competitive balance. But if you trade somebody, you should know that person any more money. That should be on the new team to pick up. That should be part of the trade.
Well, it's part of all that money they gave you up front.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that should be
they've already paid it, but it goes against the cap, so they're the ones that got to keep it.
So, what, Biggie, you answer this, and then this is a good transition into our next topic. So, go ahead.
All right, Biggie. Here's how it goes. When you have the best quarterback in the NFL, you're going to be picked to win your division. You're going to be picked to win your conference. You're going to be picked to go to the Super Bowl every year before the season. When Peyton was in Indy, when Tom Brady was in New England, that's how it was. Until you beat the champs, they're always going to be seen as the champs. Period. And again, they've had the conference title game in their house the last 5 years in a row. Until they get knocked off their throne, man, before the season, it's going to be the Chiefs. It is. And I can't fault anybody for thinking that way. Now, as a Broncos fan, am I going to be like, oh, there's chinks in the armor, right? There's this happening. There's that happening. I hear Andy, who's the most like he's the
negative Chiefs fan I've ever heard. Yeah. Andy, we love you, but damn, kid, just enjoy the rainbow sometimes.
Like, After my team gets beat and I have to listen to the Chiefs, oh, they only won by a touchdown, but they're not doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, but they still won. Like, it's the worst.
And let's be honest. I think now he's got to stay on the field. And
hold on.
First, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I got one last thing for Biggie. The Chiefs will not win the West the first year Travis Kelce gets hurt or Andy Reid dies from a heart attack on the field. Any of those two things happen, we're good.
Okay.
But I don't see any of those things. I don't see those things happening this year. So,
yeah, no, I don't either. And this is what I'll say. People are like, well, they don't really have wide receivers. Well, I'm going to tell you, a healthy Kadarius Toney with Patrick Mahomes could jump right in the top 5 wide receivers in the league. Pinky, he has that much talent. He has that much talent. Yes, he does. Absolutely, he does.
Mahomes is going to make him look pretty good, but he's not going to be that. He's not going to be top 5, bro.
If he's on the field, he will be. If he's on the field, he will be.
He's not going to be better than Tyreek Hill. He's not going to be better than.
I'm not saying talent-wise. I'm saying numbers-wise. I'm saying numbers-wise. Yes, he will. What makes you think he won't go for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns?
That's pedestrian in today's NFL.
No, it's not.
That's not top 5. That's not top 5.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Go look at the top touchdown receivers last year. Pull them up. What were they? Because here's the thing. He's not going to be the number one option. That's still Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's still the number one option, period. So he's not going to get enough looks to have his numbers inflated to the 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns. But he'll go for 12 and 12. I'm telling you right now, Kadarius Toney is healthy all season. He's going for 12 and 12. Pick him up in fantasy, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on.
Right now, pick him up in fantasy.
I'm going to put that on the list right now. Because
add that to the list. I feel good about that one. Now, it's if healthy, Pinky. There is a caveat here because he's had some injury issues his first couple years in the league. So there is a caveat with him. But if he stays on the field for 15 out of the 17 games, I see 12 and 12.
I don't see it, but all right, bro.
Don't worry. This is just another one where they'll just prove I was right, and you'll come around by the time it's said and done. Just one more of those that you can add to the list. That's all.
Let's
18, 17, 1,300 yards was the top 3 wide receivers last year, according to Big E. So he goes for 12 and 12. He's right there in the top 5.
I mean, Devontae had 14 touchdowns. Was the top for wide receivers last year.
Okay. So 12 and 12 would put him in the top 5.
I just don't see it happening. But I don't see it happening. Travis Kelce still rules that team, and he spreads the ball around enough that ain't going to happen. Cody coming out of left field.
Oh, Cody. Let's hope the curse is finally over. But hedge your bets. Probably the best thing to do is move him now while you still can, or let him go the first couple of games, blow up, and then move him right away before he does get injured. But yeah, you're probably right.
He'll blow up the first 6 games and then move him for a mint. And
yeah, probably right, Cody. Probably right.
Curses are.
He's not lying. He's not lying. Unfortunately, this is a real thing that has been proven over the last 4 years. So, I wish it wasn't real, but if we went back and really, like, if we hired somebody, Pinky, to go back and listen to and watch all of our shows over the last 3.5, 4 years, God, my curse is probably more effective than the Madden curse at this point in time.
I mean, you're at least 70%.
And what's crazy is they've all shown talent. You know what I mean? They've all shown talent, and then something awful happens. So, yeah, Cody, you just had to bring it up, didn't you, my guy? Pablo, what's going on, buddy?
But let me. I know Big E, and I know we had one of our guys earlier talk about the record for the Broncos. I believe he was asking about the record for the Broncos. I think the Sean Payton effect is going to be real. I do think we're going to do better than some people expect. But, and again, I still feel like as a team, we had a lot of close losses last year. So if the offense can do anything this year, we're going to get better. But let's
plenty of time to talk about that.
Don't
worry about that right now.
Last year. 10 and 7 is probably the best mark.
Oh God, that's high side. Let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away. We'll talk more about that as the season goes on. Pablo, where are you at? 114.
Yeah,
dear Lord.
That sounds miserable.
That sounds like Phoenix weather.
I get over 95. I'm cranky. Maybe no 90. No 80. I'm sorry, 80. 80. I get cranky. Like, it's true. The move sweat starts kicking in.
Yeah, you don't do well. You don't do well. Going from the Chiefs into our next topic, and I thought this would be kind of fun, Pinky. Laredo, Texas. Yeah, that sounds about right, Pablo. Good luck, my guy. Down in the pits of America, if you will. Yeah, that's a brutal area for sure. Desert, Texas. Whew. Humidity and heat. No fun. Next topic that I think would be fun to discuss. Out of the 5 major American sports, okay? And the 5 major American sports right now I consider football, basketball, baseball, hockey, college football, okay? So
if you're putting college basketball, or college football, you got to put college basketball on there.
I'm not going to go there. That would be a distant. MLS might even be over college basketball right now. March Madness is top 2, but college basketball as a whole, nobody watches college basketball until March Madness. Like, let's be honest. So I'm not putting it up there. Just those 5. So Chiefs, Nuggets, Houston Astros, Vegas Golden Knights, Georgia Bulldogs, okay? Of those 5, I've already got mine, but I want to hear Pinky first. Out of those 5, put them in order of greatest chance to repeat next year.
Well, there's only 2 teams on that list that are favored to repeat right now.
Chiefs and Denver, according to Vegas. But I want to hear 5-1. 5-1. What order would you have them as far as chances to repeat?
As things sit today, because a lot's going to change. As things sit today, I'd probably say Nuggets, Chiefs.
So you're going 1-5. That's fine, but
Astros, Georgia, Golden Knights.
Oh, ooh, okay.
Actually, we might be able to flip that. It'd probably Vegas and then Georgia. I don't.
You think Georgia has the least chance to repeat?
Anytime you don't have like Stetson Bennett back to back was there for like 6 years. Like, I don't know. I don't know what their quarterback's going to look like. Right now, Caleb Williams out in USC. You've got Ewers down in Texas. Like, I just don't know what I'm going to get from Georgia. Georgia's put so many guys in the NFL in the last 2 seasons from the defense.
True. That's true. That's a good point.
Their offensive line. I just don't know what I'm going to get. Could they repeat? Sure. I mean, a 3-peat in college football is pretty rare. So odds aren't great, especially when you lost your quarterback.
In the modern era, it's never happened.
Right.
Cody, the question was, and for anybody else that missed it, the question is, out of the 5 major sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, out of those past 5 champions, put them in order of chances to repeat. So
Pablo, go ahead. What are your guys?
So this is the order I've got. Nuggets, Chiefs, Georgia, and then I'm going to go Houston, Vegas. I think Vegas has the least chance to repeat. I think they kind of got a skate walk with a lot of injuries that happen within the NHL playoffs. I think Houston, while good, baseball can go so many different ways.
They're not beating my Braves this year.
Probably not. You can flip Houston and Vegas if you want to. 4 and 5 are interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. I think Georgia, the reason I have them at 3 and not 2 is because of what Pinky said, the amount of talent that they put into the NFL the last 2 years, that's hard to fill. That's hard to backfill with recruiting. It's not unheard of, but it's hard to fill. Chiefs at 2, not over the Nugs. The reason for that is because the AFC is loaded.
So
and we've been talking about that for the last 3 years.
If things change a little bit, maybe those odds for the Nuggets decrease a little bit. I'll absolutely agree with that. The AFC is so loaded. So loaded.
Yeah, the AFC is so loaded that the Chiefs are 2. Nuggets are 1 because let's put it pretty bluntly. They're going to run it back with basically the same team that's only going to get better. And in basketball, the way the landscape's set right now, there's not anybody out there. It's not like there was a bunch of injuries that caused the Nuggets to win. There's not a bunch of teams out there that are as deep and have the top-end echelon of talent that the Nuggets have. So I feel really good about the Nuggets being able to repeat. Now, do I think they will? Should they? Those are all topics for another day. But I think they have the best chance out of those 5 major sports.
The one thing I would say about that is the Nuggets team besides Bruce Brown and KCP, have played a lot of basketball together. Their top 4 guys played 3 to 4 seasons together. That matters. That
Absolutely.
They know what each other's thinking without like even making signals. Like they already know that there's a lot of team chemistry there. So I did want to talk about the Golden Knights. The one thing the Golden Knights won't have, they won't be able to murder everybody like they did during the playoffs and not have any fines, suspensions, or major minutes lost. Like they murdered dudes down the stretch. And
they're healthy. They were one of the few teams in the playoffs that stayed healthy. Clayton, as far as your Bucks go, I'm not feeling good about them going forward, my guy. I think you guys lose Brooke Lopez in the offseason. I love Chris Middleton. I'm a big Chris Middleton fan, but I think we're at a point now where he's never going to be fully himself again. At that upper echelon, on the precipice of being considered one of the best in the game. So you're getting older. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, Bobby Portis. For what?
The Bucks, the new coach.
Oh God, who did they just sign? Clayton, help me out here. I'm gonna draw a blank until. Gosh dang it. Nick Nurse went to Philly. Look it up, Pinky. Status. Why am I drawing a blank on this? I should know this.
You should know this like right off the bat, bro.
The Bucks signed. I can't get Budenholzer out of my head. That's the problem. You're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, duh.
Adrian
Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles. What? That's an NFL coach.
Adrian Griffin is the new coach.
Yes, thank you.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Thank you.
After 5
he was an assistant, yeah.
As an assistant coach with the Toronto Raptors.
Right. Nick Nurse's main guy, which I don't hate, but I just don't. The Bucks could still easily win the East. Don't get me wrong. They could still easily win the East. I think they're going to lose some depth. They're getting a little bit older. For them to compete with the Nuggets on that level, if you saw them in the finals, I don't think that's going to be a great matchup. Especially when you can take Aaron Gordon and put him on Giannis, and then what are the Bucks going to do after that? That's kind of the kicker there. Big E, you keep bringing up NASCAR. I have, over the last 3 or 4 years, really started to get into racing. I do enjoy watching NASCAR and F1. So I've started to learn. I'm trying to educate myself a little bit more. From what I'm understanding, NASCAR is actually losing viewership. You want to say they're bigger than college basketball? I'm not going to argue with that. College basketball, nobody watches during the regular season.
NASCAR is a pretty big sport. It really is.
So I know, when you can throw 200,000 to 300,000 people in grandstands to watch a race, yeah, it's huge. Don't get me wrong. I understand NASCAR is a big deal. But as far as the American public, media coverage, things of that nature, at one point I would have said it's definitely top 5. At one point I would have said it's top 3. I don't think it's there anymore. I honestly, if you want to do numbers, I bet if you went and looked at numbers, I bet the MLS is doing better now than NASCAR is. Ooh. That's a guess. It's a guess. It's a pure guess. You want to look it up, Pinky? Look it up. I'm throwing my hat in that. I'll look it up. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that is. I
think people are underestimating how popular the MLS is these days.
I would say there might be more people watching like actual like Premier League soccer, maybe, but not MLS. I don't think MLS right now. Now again, in a couple months when Messi's playing, maybe we'll have that conversation, but I don't think that's the case right now. Let's see, Pablo. I will say again, I think the Broncos will go 10-7. I'm staying cautiously optimistic. I like Sean Payton. I like what's happening, but I will admit we talk more about the NFL as a whole more than we do the Broncos, but I do love my Broncos. I wear it with pride. But we're big NFL fans, so we might talk a lot more about other teams than we talk about the Broncos. And that might just because the Broncos have sucked the last, 5-6 years since the Super Bowl. So once the Broncos start really making it to where we can pound our chest and talk about them positively, we'll do that. But it's been sad. Thankfully, the Avs and the Nugs have been so good the last couple of years. At least we've had that, because the Broncos have definitely made me sad. I don't even know if I get like super angry after a Broncos loss anymore like I used to. When we had Peyton Manning and the Broncos lost, like you couldn't talk to me for at least 2 to 3 hours. Now it's like, okay, 5 minutes after the game, I'm good. Ooh, Pablo. That's a good question.
He doesn't even know what the MLS is. I'm having trouble finding it. I think based on what I found real quick, NASCAR is still getting more viewership than the MLS. So I'm wrong. That doesn't last over the next decade. MLS will be a top 3 sport. Soccer will be a top 3 sport in America within the next decade. I fully believe that.
That's bold. I'm not willing to go there. Pablo, Texans. I think they're going to get 3 to 5 games, which is good. The higher the draft pick, the better. That team has made some quality moves. They drafted well. Like that team is on the come up, and I like what they're doing, but they're not there yet. Cody says 6-11, so we're close. We're close. I don't think they're going to be awful. The worst team in the league next year is Arizona. Mark it down.
Does Arizona win a game next year?
Yes, because they'll have that one game. Colt McCoy can win you a game.
But here's the problem. Who he's throwing to. Ertz won't be playing to start the season. DeAndre Hopkins is gone. James Conner ain't going to last a whole season. What are they going to have left?
Pablo, look, your team is on the rise, but they're still in for another shitty year. 5 to 6 wins is probably what you should be looking at.
Cody, you want another curse? You want another curse right now? Fantasy relevancy? People, take a late round flyer on Nico Collins. 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown season incoming.
Maybe. He's on my bench, so I've got him. I've got him in a league.
I see a nice season for Nico Collins. Cody's not happy with me again.
Let's see.
So Nuggets, Chiefs, we're in agreement there. You've got Georgia down at the bottom. I understand why. I've got them number 3 because I just don't see a lot of people being able to compete with them per se. However, LSU could be sneaky. USC could be sneaky. Michigan should be there. Ohio State should be there. Alabama could have a nice bounce-back season. Texas could surprise some people this year, as sick as that makes me. So there's going to be some competition. I don't think it's a surefire. But I like Georgia's chances more than the Knights and Houston.
Yeah, my Braves are going to take it this year. So I think we've got it.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
So, again, I'm biased in that one. Let's see. What else did you have for us?
Yeah, Pablo. I think I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he's a really talented, and I don't think they had a. I don't think Davis Mills was bad, but I also don't think they had enough offensive pieces there to help him. And I don't think the look. I'm not high on Lovie Smith. I don't think Lovie Smith is a great coach. He's definitely not an offensive-minded coach. Now, I understand the coach they brought in, D'Amico Ryans, is not offensive-minded, but he came from the Shanahan tree. And anybody from the Shanahan tree, I'm going to trust that they understand it is an offensive game now, and they're going to make sure their offense rolls.
After their free agents they picked up and their draft, they're considerably better today than they were last season. The roster Lovie Smith had to coach last year, the fact that he won any games is pretty much a miracle.
I'll give you that. Pablo, Clemson, I'm not high on. I think Dabo had his spot in the sun. I think Clemson is only relevant because they play in an incredibly weak ACC. I'm not as high on them this year as some other people are. So we'll see. They definitely have the recruits. They've got the talent level. Will Shipley is one of the best running backs in college football. I'm drawing a blank on their quarterback right now, but he's one of the top-rated guys in college football as well. So there's a possibility there. But I think Florida State's just as good. I don't see a team from the ACC being in the playoffs. So I think that right there takes them out of the running to knock Georgia off.
All right. What's
Clayton coming in hot with the comment of the night.
He was speechless. He was speechless.
What else, people? Hit us. Open forum at this point in time. We're loving it. This is the kind of stuff we thrive on.
What else did you have?
The other thing that I know you wanted to kind of discuss, just because it's close to our hearts, and with the Nuggets winning, it finally makes it worthy of a conversation for the most part, is your favorite championship out of the Colorado teams. So Avs, Nuggets, Broncos. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. We can get back to the questions at hand, but I think I already know your answer, which I think is going to be number 2 on my list. But I'm guessing your favorite is the first Broncos championship against the Packers.
Well, being a big Broncos fan, and again, Avs won in '96, so they did it first. And I remember watching that by myself in my room. They were playing the Panthers. I remember watching all the games. It was awesome. But when the Broncos won the championship, let me tell you, I was a senior in high school. My girlfriend and I watched it, and it was.
You were a senior in high school when that went down?
I was a senior in high school.
You are not 4 years older than me.
Yeah, bro.
You're turning 44 this year?
So
is that really happening?
The Super Bowl was '98.
Damn.
It was January or February of '98. It was the '97 season.
Right.
I graduated May of '98.
God dang.
Oh.
Hey, you're right. I just know I remember being in 8th grade.
So
you'll love this, Pinky. So a little Caleb story time that you'll find very enjoyable. I remember it very well, clear as day, actually. Friend of mine, she had a party. Bunch of us came over to her house to watch the game. There was probably about 20 of us or so. 8th grade. I'm thinking, we're all going to be Broncos fans. It's going to be a great time. We were the underdogs, but we all knew better. We were going to go in there and rock and roll. I walk into the party, and the girl who was having the party, her best friend was my girlfriend at the time. And I walk in, and the first thing I see is my girlfriend wearing a Brett Favre jersey. And I knew right then and there the relationship was over. That was the end. I wasn't consoling her after the loss. There was no reason to continue the charade. And I let her know, you broke my heart. I don't want to do this, but you forced my hand. We can't be together anymore.
I feel that my wife has always been a Brett Favre hater. So I'm not a Brett Favre hater, but she's always been a Brett Favre hater. So I knew it was love at first sight. Yeah. So that first Super Bowl, I mean, we were underdogs. It was like that first, like, it just was everything. Now, everybody, I think what's fun, I think the other question I saw, so that was the first one, was like, how would you rank the Colorado championships? And I think the first Nuggets championship, or not the first Nuggets, the first Broncos, the most recent Avs, actually it might be the Nuggets one, and then the most recent Avs. And only because the Nuggets, it was their first one. It was so fun to watch. The media hated the Nuggets all season. And then for the Avs, they were just dominant that whole season. And then they were dominant in the playoffs too. Their run was just amazing. So there was also the question out there, like, what was the most dominant Colorado championship run? I think it's still the 99 Broncos.
Yes. But people want to talk about how the Nuggets, like the national pundits want to talk about how this Nuggets championship was an easy walk for them. That second Broncos championship was a much easier walk against Atlanta and Dan Reeves. Like, come on.
I remember, well, here's the thing that's funny. I want to say it was JJ Redick or somebody else talked about this Nuggets run. He's like, well, the 1 seed already plays the 8 seed already to start with. And then if they beat the 8 seed, they automatically play the 4th or 5th seed automatically.
Yeah.
Right? And then they happen to play the 7-seeded Lakers. Why? Because the Kings couldn't beat the Lakers. So were the Kings that bad?
No, not the Kings. Memphis couldn't beat the Lakers. Kings played Golden State.
No, Golden State. That's
Golden State.
Golden State couldn't beat the Lakers. So was Golden State a bad 4 or a 6? I guess they were a 6 seed. The Kings were a fraud 3 seed then. The Kings.
I wouldn't say they were a fraud. They just ran into a buzzsaw that was Golden. This is the thing about the playoffs that nobody wants to talk about. And I mentioned this about Miami, how they weren't really an 8 seed, and the reasons why they weren't really an 8 seed. The Lakers weren't really a 7 seed, but they were a 7 seed. Golden State wasn't really a 6 seed. Andrew Wiggins was out since January and showed up a week or two before the season ended.
Right.
There are levels to this that people don't want to discuss. They don't want to provide the full context. They don't want to give you the actual picture, because if they do, it diminishes what they had said all season. It makes them look foolish. That's why.
I was
going to say real quick.
If Giannis is hurt, right? They're not.
Right. That's why when we talk, look, yes, we're always going to have our orange-colored glasses. We're always going to have, me personally, my red-colored glasses with Nebraska. But at the same time, we always try to be objective, right? We try to give you all the facts. We try to give you as much information as possible, and then based on all of that information, why we feel the way we do. We don't create some false narrative and then try to run with it and force it to be true. And then when it's proven wrong, try to give you reasons why we were still right even when we were wrong. That's just not how we like to operate. We like to operate with actual facts and numbers. Now, I will say one of the things I love about numbers is you can make numbers say whatever you want them to. That's the beauty of numbers. You can use numbers to make your point true any way you want to. But there's a context within that you would leave out if something happened that doesn't support your narrative. So we try to keep that there and still discuss it. And Pinky, one of the things I love to eat, what is it?
You love to eat that crow, baby.
Hey, I'll eat it all day if I have to. But I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you my thoughts. And I'm going to give you the reasons why with numbers to back it up. And if that becomes untrue, I'll eat the big plate of crow and not be wrong. I mean, not feel bad about being wrong. That's rare in the national media. So is what it is. Real quick, Big E, don't be the typical American, okay? start learning about soccer. It's called the beautiful game for a reason. There are some things about it that I can understand why it doesn't appeal to everybody, but there is a skill level involved to play that game that 99% of Americans and this earth cannot understand or do or be a part of. It's a reason it's the most popular sport in the world. Don't be the typical American here, man. Don't do it. And it's only growing in America. So whether you like it or not, it is going to get more television. It is going to get more coverage. It's coming. Jump on now. Don't be late.
I'll be honest. If I'm sitting there watching a soccer game, the only way I can watch it is to bet on it or hang out with friends who are invested in it. Then it becomes a lot more interesting. And it is very technical. What those guys can do with a ball without touching it with their hands, the fact that they run for like 90 minutes, their endurance is like second to none. And soccer is a pretty violent sport in most cases. There's actually, most people don't know this, and again, he talks about dresses. There are more concussions in soccer than football.
Yeah, but don't bring that up as a reason why it's physical, because that's strictly from basically heading the ball. When you got a ball being kicked in the air at 35, 40 miles per hour, and then you use your head to redirect it, it's going to cause a concussion.
I'd rather play badminton. I love badminton, Biggie. I love badminton. But
God, Biggie, you're killing me right now, my guy. Look, now you can call me biased because I grew up playing the beautiful game. But I played basketball, I played soccer, I played golf, I played football. I stopped playing football because I didn't grow. I was 5 foot, 100 pounds wet until I was like a sophomore in high school. And I got lit up by one of my best friends who was the biggest guy on the team at, what was it? Freshman year, he was 6'3", close to 200. He lit me up. And I quickly decided that no matter how much I love football, my body wasn't big enough to play it at that level. And I didn't like feeling like I needed to go to the ICU.
See, I was the opposite. I was too big to play soccer. So I started out as a defender. I moved to goalie, and then I moved to not playing as I got bigger. So,
Ray, are you saying you've never heard it called the beautiful game? Because if that's the case, that just shows how little you followed it. And I don't fault you for that.
I've never heard that either. I was just
that's common terminology within soccer and anybody who knows anything about it. It is the beautiful game.
They didn't mention it on Ted Lasso, so I don't know if it's true. Okay.
Fair.
Okay.
A lot of that started with Pele. I could be completely wrong, but he might have been the first one to say it, and it latched on. But it is called the beautiful game.
I feel like I
little education for you people tonight. That's what we do. That's what we do. We like to educate. We like to make the viewing and listening audience a little bit smarter. Tuesday by Tuesday. Sun's going down. I got to turn on the light. Give me a second here. Talk amongst yourselves. Discuss something fun.
And for once, Caleb, you're right. It is called the most. It's called the beautiful game, popularized by Brazilian footballer Pele. So,
Pinky, for once I'm right. Again, I bat 70-75%. This isn't anything new, my guy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm a fairly educated human being. Okay. And when it comes to sports, I'm an excellently educated human being.
Hold on, we gotta do a quick rundown. Pablo, Tennessee has no chance. They don't have Hendon Hooker anymore.
No, Pinky, wrong. He's correct. Tennessee is a dark horse. Hendon Hooker has come out and actually said that their quarterback Milton, he believes Milton is the best quarterback in the NCAA this year. He believes Milton will win the Heisman. Take that for what it's worth, but he's not wrong. Tennessee is going to be good this year.
I don't know about that. Lions. Clayton, Lions are winning the North, baby. Lock it up. Get your money in.
I'm not on that wagon. I'm not on that wagon. I think they are the favorite, but I could see Green Bay winning it, and I know Pinky thinks that's a joke, but I could see Green Bay winning it, and I can also see Minnesota winning it. So I don't think the Lions have an easy road. I do think they're the favorites right now, and I will say this. There are some rumors floating around right now that the Lions could acquire Chase Young. If they acquire Chase Young and he is healthy, I will say the Lions, because that would put their defense in a position to finally assist their offense on a different level. With Chase Young, excuse me, Chase Young and that boy they got last year out of Michigan, Hutchinson, that would be a dangerous pass rush.
Bro, I don't even have to wait for that. The Lions are winning, baby. They're winning.
I'm not sold on that just yet. Not just yet.
All right. And then the Tampa Bay Rays, can they win it all?
Yep.
I mean, they've got a good head start. All signs point to they should make the playoffs. So, yeah. In baseball, baseball is really about who's playing the best as they get closer to the end.
Well, not just that. It's you could sneak into the playoffs and not even be playing well and then get hot. And look at the Rockies. The Rockies are a perfect example. If the Rockies don't have 10 days off back in 07, I think it was 07, in October, if they don't have to have 10 days off before they play Philly, they win because they were scorching hot, period. Baseball is a game of streaks more than anything else. So anything can happen.
This one's easy. The Cowboys will never win a championship as long as Jerry Jones owns the team or Jerry Jones is alive.
Pinky, cheers, my guy, because that is – you and I have been on the same page on that for a while. Once Stephen Jones is the only one running the team, they'll be okay. As long as Jerry's doing it for whatever reason, it's not going to happen.
Biggie, sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back because nobody else is going to do it for you, baby. So
hey, Biggie, there's a fine line between confidence and cocky, and I sit right on that edge with confidence, my guy. I don't got to pat myself on the back. It's always there. Always.
Yeah. Biggie's on par with that. Yeah, once Jerry Jones steps away, he doesn't interfere. The Cowboys should be relevant again. But
and I'll say this. If Jerry Jones would learn that in order to win a championship, you have to play the free agent market and not just the draft, they would win. But because he feels like he never has to do free agency, that's what always keeps them from going over.
Here's another point.
That and the rest saying Des Bryant didn't catch the ball. Those two things are the issue.
I don't know that they go back up to Seattle and beat Seattle, but they would have had a chance. And that he did catch it. They won that game. Their coaching the last decade has been average at best. Garrett and McCarthy are not good coaches. I think a good coach would probably take this team a long way with the talent they have on the road.
I try to give McCarthy the benefit of the doubt. You know I'm not a big McCarthy fan, but I did try to give him the benefit of the doubt, Pinky, until he came out and said this year that they let Kellen Moore go because they didn't want to score 30 points a game. They wanted to run the ball. I don't know if you could say a more dumb thing and let that come out of your mouth after actually thinking about it and then saying it. If you're scoring 30 points a game, you should be winning.
Right.
This running the ball nonsense is a joke.
Which tells me that your defense wasn't as good as you thought it was. It just happens to get turnovers.
Yeah. So, Dallas, once Jerry's no longer in charge, they'll be able to get back to the mountaintop. But, yeah, the way he's going and the way modern technology and science is going, Jerry might be there for another 30 years. So, buckle up, Cowboys fans.
Yeah, Jerry's not going anywhere anytime soon. So, yeah, buckle up, Cowboys.
Or I'll say this. Or they can start winning. They have a chance to win when Jerry no longer has a radio show.
But his radio show is so good, man. He says the
I know.
dumbest shit.
I know it is. But I'm just saying that we still got another 20 years of the radio show. So either way, it's not happening anytime soon.
Whenever I listen to Jerry Jones, I just go, man, that guy's rich as hell. I think I could do that. Like he says some of the dumbest shit, and he's rich as hell. So there's got to be some money out there for me somewhere.
Pablo, yes. I think Dan Quinn was an underrated head coach. I think he kind of got the shaft in Atlanta. He, along with many others, should get the blame for that 28-3 debacle. Kyle Shanahan doesn't get enough of the blame. And I while I love Kyle Shanahan and I love the Shanahan tree, Shanahan needs to win a Super Bowl or that will be his legacy, in my opinion. That's what he should be known for right now. So there were a lot of things that went wrong in Atlanta. I think Dan Quinn's a really good head coach. I actually wanted the Broncos to go get him. I personally, and I know I'm in the minority here, I don't think Sean Payton was a bad hire. I just don't think he should have been at the top of the list. And I don't think he's everything that everybody tries to make him out to be. He had Drew Brees his entire coaching career in New Orleans. Look what's happened to Bill Belichick after Brady left. He hasn't looked that great. I don't think Sean Payton is this magical cure-all that's going to fix Russell Wilson. I'm on record saying I think Jared Stidham starts this year. So I'm not sold on the Broncos being that much better this season just because Sean Payton's the coach. It won't be any worse than what we saw with Nathaniel Hackett, so don't get me wrong. But I don't think Sean Payton's this cure-all that people are trying to make him out to be. Big E, you're right. Chicago could make some serious noise. I don't think they're going to win the division, but I'm on record as a big Justin Fields guy, and we want to play revisionist history. The Broncos made a giant mistake by not drafting him and going after Patrick Surtain. And until I'm proven wrong, I'm going to believe that for a very long time. And I think Justin Fields this year, with talent around him, will prove that that's where they should have gone.
We'll see. He's going to have to throw the football more than he runs it.
Oh, he's got people to throw the football to this year.
Hopefully, again, if the better quarterback play we have in the league, the better the league is to watch. So I hope he does well. I hope they're able to protect him and let him throw the ball, make him look good. Again, I hate watching bad quarterback play. I hate it. And last year, some of his games, when they didn't have anywhere for him to go, they didn't have any protection. Their game plan wasn't great. He was forced to run the ball, and then when he had to throw it, it didn't look good. This
is what kills me about Justin Fields. The head coach and the offensive coordinator coming out talking about how he's making strides and he's made a big leap. Like, dude, your schemes were trash last year. Like, plain and simple, you as coaches let him down last year, and the way you're talking right now was like he wasn't ready to handle it. Bullshit.
But they have to say that, though. They have to say he's making leaps and bounds, whether it was their fault, whether they don't believe it. They have to say that.
I know they have to say it, but how about, well, we've learned some things and we're going to be better play call. Like, I hate when coaches talk shit about the players and don't talk about how they could have been better. Drives me nuts, dude. Drives me nuts.
Again, that's our biggest beef with Mike Malone.
It was my biggest beef with Mike Malone. You're absolutely right. But I'm as big a Mike Malone fan as anybody out there these days. So I ate Mike Crow and I love the dude. The swag on that dude is on another level. I love it. Yeah, exactly.
Gold chain, drinking beer.
Pablo, I think Russ proves that he can't play in the league at an elite level anymore, and that's why I believe Jared Stidham starts this season. I'm on record saying that since they signed Stidham. So I think it was a terrible move. I think Payton The GM is not a good GM. I'm on record saying that. I don't have any faith in him. The moment he came out and said Russell Wilson was his first option, not Aaron Rodgers, told me everything I needed to know about the Peyton era. I think after this season, we'll see Patton and Russ walk. It's my personal opinion. I think that Walmart money will kick in. They'll pay off whatever they have to, and they'll move on. So we'll see. But that's my thoughts about it.
I disagree, but I don't want to get in arguments right now. So we're just going to let it go.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Biggie, I don't know what that whole statement meant. Because you didn't put who she was dating, glass of pop. I don't even know what any of that means. So clarify that if you can, my man.
Clayton, look, I have no shame when it comes to admitting I was wrong and eating my crow. So if it happens, great. It means my Broncos were good. That's just, again, if I'm being objective and I'm giving you my true, honest opinions about what I see and what I'm feeling, I don't see that changing. That's just my thoughts and my look on it. That's all.
Oh, okay, Biggie. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like Justin Fields. I don't know. I don't see it from the guy. He was a great running back last year. If he can throw the ball 20% better this year, he'll be a pretty good quarterback.
Yo, my dude outplayed Trevor Lawrence 2 consecutive years in the college football playoffs. Outplayed Trevor Lawrence. You say whatever you want about him off the field. My dude balls. Justin Fields is a baller.
Well, we ain't in college anymore, Toto. So,
Pinky, you keep dismissing college. There is a correlation. What you do at one level says where you get drafted at the next level.
Not always.
If you are trash in college, you're not getting drafted high in the NFL. If you're good in college, you're getting drafted high in the NFL.
Bro, the first round has like a 50% bust rate. So you can't tell me that if you're good in college, you're going to be good in the NFL. That's just not how it works, bro.
Well,
it's a good
Pinky,
it's a helpful indicator.
Tell the whole story. Give the big picture, all the facts. NFL is notorious for being the worst square peg round hole in the world. A lot of players in the NFL fail because coaches don't play to the strengths of their players. Plain and simple.
All right, Clayton. I don't know who stands out the most, but I know the guy that I love watching is Joey B. That's the guy I love watching.
I think you see Trevor Lawrence take a huge jump this year. I think Trevor Lawrence is in the MVP conversation because of what they put around him.
No chance.
What? Why?
No chance.
Why?
Better than last season? Sure. MVP conversation? No, that's not going to happen.
Why is there no chance, Pinky?
He's just not going to play that level. He's just not.
Why?
No.
Why?
I haven't seen it from him. He's gotten better every year, but he hasn't.
Last year he made a huge
better.
leap without Urban Meyer being there.
Bro, he's not better than Patrick, Lamar, Joey B, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. Like, he's not even on those guys' levels yet. So I don't. If those guys all get hurt, sure, he's in the MVP conversation.
You also told me there was no chance the Jags make the playoffs last year. So
I did, and I said I was wrong.
I didn't say he was the MVP. I said he'd be in the conversation. There's a big difference.
And Indianapolis sucked when they shouldn't have. Jags made the playoffs.
I'm just saying, he's going to be in the conversation.
I mean, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Pablo, that happened, bro. That happened.
Yeah, Pablo, that happened. That happened.
Now, we want to go back. I mean, Texans were...
Pinky and our other buddy Zach are on record, if you want to go back and listen. They're on record saying that they would have rather had Russell Wilson than Aaron Rodgers.
True. I said it. Now, again, I'm looking at it. Russell's only 33. I think he's 34 now. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be 39 before the season starts.
True. And my thought process on a championship is a little bit different than most. It's been discussed before, but I'll rehash it for those that haven't heard it before. I'm all for winning a championship every 10 years and being shitty for 9.
Look,
I've said it before. You go all in and win a championship, you can be trash for 9 years and then go win another one year 10. I'm totally cool with that.
Who screwed up the most last season? The Green Bay Packers, because they would have got a fucking haul from the Broncos for Aaron Rodgers. And they said, nope, we're going to keep him.
Well, let's be honest, though. From his own mouth, Peyton didn't even have Rodgers as his top guy to go get.
Yeah, we all know we don't believe that.
I do because he passed up. You could have gotten Rodgers for what you got Russell Wilson for.
No, Pablo, I was not high. I was not high.
Maybe a little buzzed, but it wasn't inhibiting his thought process. Biggie, what do you call him BS on? Give us some clarity, some context.
Yeah, I think they would have taken Aaron Rodgers in a heartbeat, but he said he didn't want to play.
I don't, Pinky, because you could have gotten Rodgers for what you got Russell Wilson for. Easily. You could have easily gotten Rodgers for what you got Russell Wilson for. So to me, that says Peyton wanted Russ over Rodgers. Between that and some of the draft picks he's made, I just think Peyton is not a good GM. Let's take it a step further. The Broncos offseason and the free agents they signed is solely due to Sean Payton being the coach. It has nothing, zero to do with the GM. Zero to do with the GM. So we'll see what happens. Jets, that's an interesting one, Pablo.
Now,
the Jets play in what could be considered the best division this year.
The GM,
Jets, Buffalo, Miami. I actually think all three make the playoffs in the AFC this year. We'll get into that later.
Ooh, I don't know about that. But
it's an initial thought. Pinky and I still have to do our offseason, go through the schedule, pick records, and see how it falls. But just my initial thought off the top of my head without seeing all that, I think Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets all make the playoffs. The Jets can easily win the Super Bowl. They could also miss the playoffs because they're a little bit thin when it comes to talent still. So they need some things to go their way. They need to stay healthy. But anybody who thinks Aaron Rodgers has fallen off doesn't know what they're talking about. Dude played with a broken thumb on his throwing hand last year. A broken thumb on his throwing hand last year, and people want to talk about how he fell off. Aaron Rodgers is going to go for 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 4,000 yards this year.
That division's the toughest in football this season.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk. So the Patriots are probably 4th place in that division, and they'll still win 8 or 9 games. So
8 or 9, you think so?
Belichick, bro. I don't. They're
as long as Mac Jones is the starter, they're not winning that many. I'm going to stand by that. Bailey Zappi is the most talented quarterback on that roster, and I will stand by that.
I think Bill O'Brien's a pretty good OC, so I think they'll be okay.
I'll give you that. I will give you that.
Now, again, they still don't have any real playmakers. Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't really move the needle, but
no.
Now that they can get D-Hop, now we're talking.
They get D-Hop, and I would change my thought process a little bit.
D-Hop and Juju?
Because he opens up for some of those other guys. It opens up the running game a little more.
Right.
I think Ramondre Stevenson could be a top 5 back in the league this year. Stat-wise. Numbers-wise. They don't have a bad offensive line. I don't think Mac Jones is the answer. I've said it since day one. I do think Bailey Zappi is more talented. I think he's the better quarterback. I think he's the better thrower of the football. The only reason Mac Jones is getting run right now is because he was a high draft pick and he's a Nick Saban guy. And we all know Belichick and Saban are buds. That's the only reason Mac Jones is in a backup already.
Now, Bill O'Brien was his offensive coordinator at Alabama. So he knows what he's good at. I think that'll help.
Pinky likes to talk about this all the time when it benefits him. He won't bring it up if it doesn't suit his narrative. But Mac Jones had more talent around him than maybe any college quarterback in the history of the game. So people talking about how Mac Jones had an incredible year at Alabama. Yeah, well, he might have had the most talent around him to ever play offensive side of the ball, including Joe Burrow's LSU. So don't be hyping up Mac Jones to me because I don't see it there. I just don't.
Pablo, why would D-Hop want to go back to Houston? You got 2 or 3 years, maybe.
That's why.
I mean, if they've got money to pay him, do they have money to pay him? I
don't know. I haven't looked at their salary cap situation, but that would be why he goes back to Houston.
I mean,
I do believe D'Amico Ryan's voice is one that players want to play for.
Again, if I'm D-Hop, I've already played for the Texans. I've already played for the crappy Cardinals. Get that man to a team that's going to go to the Super Bowl.
No, it's real. If D-Hop signs with New England, then it's all about this. He doesn't care about winning. It's going to be real simple. Based on where D-Hop decides to go, it will tell you whether or not he wants to win or if he just wants to get another check. I don't fault him either way. I could care less what a player decides to do. If they want to get paid or they want to win, I don't care. Go do you. But don't sit here and try to lie to us and say, I went here because I believe I could win. No.
I mean, OBJ, yeah, bro, you went to a team that paid you $15 million guaranteed. That's all you got to say.
OBJ is a slight gray area only because Baltimore has the ability and the talent to be a Super Bowl contender. So it's not like he went to like Tennessee.
Biggie, D-Hop's issue right now is he's going out there asking for good money, and teams already spent that money in free agency. They don't have a lot left. They don't know if they want to spend that extra on him. And the teams that do have that extra money, why pay that for an aging wide receiver? We're just going to keep building our team, right?
And that's the thing. D-Hop, let's be honest with ourselves. Injury prone. Probably not
really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely injury prone.
No, he's not.
Dude, go back and look at the last 5 years. He's missed at least 3 or 4 games every year.
No.
Yeah. Go look.
No. I know he missed 6 last year because of suspension, but
he got suspended 10 games last year, so he better not miss any because of injury.
6 games last year.
6 games, whatever it was. He's a little bit injury prone now. A little bit nicked up. Hamstrings, a lot of soft tissue injuries with him. I'm not talking about last year, Biggie. I know that was a suspension, but he's been nicked up the last 3 or 4 years.
Hold on. We're gonna figure it out.
I also don't think he's a true number one.
All right, hold on. Let's go through it. 18, 16 games, 19, 15 games, 20, 16 games, 21, 10 games, 22, 9 games. 6 of those were for suspension.
Okay, so the last 3, we'll say
2
last
years.
Year. I think he's at a point. I'm saying, I think he's at a point now.
He played 16 in 2020. He played 10 in 2021. He played 9 in 2022, and 6 of those were suspension. So he's not as bad as you're calling him out to be.
Fair. That's fair. I think he's at a point, though, where that's going to be more of an issue.
Now, again,
I also don't think he's a true number 1 anymore. A 1B or a 2, I think he's lost a little bit of a step. I agree, Biggie. I think he's still got the best hands in the league, arguably. But separation is a bit of an issue for him these days. So I don't think he can go to a situation and elevate everything. I don't think he can go to a situation and be the top guy that makes your quarterback better. I still think he's a phenomenal talent.
Look,
and I think any team that's contending, he would help elevate the team as a whole.
So let's be honest. That boy is a Chief or a Bill right now if it was about winning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's about money.
No questions asked.
It's about money. And
Now,
that's why his options have been limited.
Maybe we should hold off on saying that for a second, only because with him being a veteran the way he is, he doesn't want to be there for mandatory minicamp. You know what I mean? So if he had signed already, he would have had to report for those. And that's not something he really wants to be doing right now.
The only two teams he's visited is New England and Tennessee so far.
Yeah, but again, that could just be what he's visited. We don't know who he's talked to, what his agents had conversations with. So I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt and say he hasn't signed anywhere because he doesn't want to be in mandatory mini camps. And I can't blame the guy. You know, what is he, 31? This is his 10th or 11th year in the league. Like, he doesn't need to be at mandatory mini camp. That's not something he needs to be a part of.
He doesn't need to be a part of it. That is absolutely true. He's 31.
31. So there's no reason for him to sign before training camp. You know what I mean? So within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he'll sign somewhere and he'll be at training camp when it starts. Same with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's not signed anywhere right away because he doesn't need to be at mandatory mini camps. Not something he needs to be a part of. So we'll see what happens.
All right, man. What else do you want to talk about? I think we're close to done.
Yeah, I'm good. We'll answer this last question with Pablo. Somewhere in the 20-ish, 20 TD passes, 12 to 15 interceptions, somewhere in there. The Texans are great.
5 to 6 rushing touchdowns, probably.
Somewhere in there, I could see that. I like CJ Stroud. I think he's a really good talent. You're just going to a team where you could struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
your first year or two. So expectations shouldn't be super high just yet. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a phenomenal talent.
Biggie, I don't see him getting 1,700 with the Chiefs and 13 touchdowns.
No.
He's past that point in his career.
Yes.
Could he go for 1,000 and 8 or 9, 10?
I see him more in the 800-900 range with 8 to 10 touchdowns.
Right.
Again, a lot of that is because he doesn't do the separation thing anymore. So he's not going to catch a ball and then get some yak. He's not going to go over the top anymore. And if he goes to Buffalo or KC, I've already talked about what I think Kadarius Toney does if he's healthy. If he goes to Buffalo, you got Stefan Diggs and you got Gabe Davis, who are going to get touches as well. So D-Hop isn't that
but he's not
guy anymore.
He's not going to either team because they're not going to pay him the money that he wants.
We'll see. Again, it'll tell us a lot. Is he about winning or is he about the money? We'll see.
He's definitely going to want the OBJ. At least give me $15 million.
Pablo, lower those expectations quickly so that you're not bummed and disappointed throughout the season. CJ Stroud is not throwing for 30 touchdowns next year with that roster. That's not happening.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
There's no way. There's no way.
Now, thankfully, the defenses in the AFC South aren't like amazing. So he should put up 20 touchdowns easy, but 30, man. And then you're talking about like 4 to 5 running is probably pretty good, but he's not throwing 30 touchdowns. He's not.
Pinky, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. God, we're in the dead season. I'm having to bet on baseball at this point. I did win tonight.
Good.
I did win.
Good.
I bet Braves to win, and there'd be over 5. There'd be 5 runs in the game. Exactly 5 runs, and the Braves won. So good to go there. Man, it's tough out there. It's tough.
We are in the dead season as far as we're concerned because we're not big baseball guys. We're not going to chop it up with baseball. We'll talk about it once the playoffs roll around because we are sports guys and we do like to give due to things. But
I root for the Braves. So I've got that. They're really good right now.
Yeah,
so I've got that going.
You're good
for
on
me.
that. So, there's still some NBA conversation to be had with the draft and free agency. So we'll be talking that a little bit over the next week or two. We still got another major in golf. That'll come up here in about 3 weeks. I'll talk about that a little bit.
We didn't even talk about Djokovic winning his 23rd.
Oh, Djokovic.
Yeah.
Yes. We could have. That's a conversation to be had. I figured I'd wait until after Wimbledon to see how he does there before we really bring the tennis into play. Seems like people already kind of drop off when I start talking anything but football. So I'm trying to keep the audience participation up a little bit, Pinky.
I'm doing my best, Caleb.
I like it. I like it. So yeah, Wimbledon's still coming up. We'll discuss that a little bit. There's some things here and there that we'll talk about over the next month or so, and then football rolls around and we'll get real heavy.
I've got a buddy coming on. We're going to talk some nerd shit. We're going to talk some Star Wars. We're going to talk some Marvel.
We're going to do that, 2 weeks from now? We can't do it next week because I need to be here for that, and I might be out next week. So you're going to have to figure out something for next week.
I'm not going to bring him on without you.
Okay, good.
He's a really cool guy. I know you got your baby coming. So.
We'll talk about some Star Wars, some Marvel. We'll talk we nerd out every once and again. There's a reason nonsense is in our name, ladies and gentlemen. Sports, nonsense, and whiskey.
Ooh,
it allows us
Pablo.
to talk about all the fun stuff that we like other than just the sports.
Pablo.
So, Pablo, if you believe that, go put your future bet down now.
Yeah. Put your bet down on the Rays. Rays are good, man. They are. They really are.
Absolutely they are. There's a reason they've been to the World Series a couple times. Or once and had an opportunity to get there a couple other times.
And if the Rays win a World Series because they've never won one, I'm cool with that, man. I like it when teams win their first championship.
Especially because they'd be coming out of the AL East, which means it's not the Yankees or the Red Sox. So we're good with that.
Clayton, you're welcome anytime, bro. I need a co-host for next week if you want to. Last year was actually a down year for quarterbacks when you think about it. So
it was.
We'll see.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, cheers. We appreciate all of you more than you can possibly know. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that comes with it.
Before Caleb throws in our favorite line, check out all the shows on the MHRT network. If you love the Broncos, there are more than enough shows.
Absolutely.
That talk about the Broncos on this network. Check them out. They're good. I've watched every show on this network to see what everybody's talking about, what everybody, what they do, how they act, like their rapport. Awesome shows. Even the Cluster Puck podcast on the Avs is a really good show. We happen to be like the only show that talks about everything. But if you like the Broncos, check those shows. If you like the NFL, you want to stick with our show because we talk about everybody.
That's a fact. But there's a lot of quality programming on this network, and we're happy to be a part of it. So we don't want to make it sound like we're downplaying that there's a lot of Bronco coverage. There's a lot of great insight, a lot of educated discussion that's provided. So check them all out. On that note, as always, do not forget to take advantage of those moments you have with your inner circle, loved ones, family, friends. Cherish those moments, and make sure the people around you know how you feel. Pinky, you're my dude. I appreciate you. Love you, my guy. Again, thank you to everybody out there, and we'll be back next week. Peace.
At least I will be.
I may not be. You're right. But, deuces.